45 seconds. We'll start the intro.
I was listening. Yes, the same song.
Okay, I'm disconnecting now.
Hello out there in Radio Land. I welcome you once again to the Caregivers Cafe Hour of Empowerment to refresh and refuel your soul. I am your host, Barbara Brown Harvey, the Caregivers Advocate. Today's date is August the 9th, 2015. And I'm wishing you a simple Sunday filled with love, peace, and laughter. So now I'm going to ask that you go to the listener response page on hamiltonradio.net, leave a message about our show. Also go to my caregiver support group on Facebook, leave me a message about the show. Let me know about subjects you're interested in hearing on the show. To tell you a little bit about what the show does, during the Caregiver Cafe Hour, we strive to provide educational information, networking opportunities, and resources to the community of caregivers, the disabled, the handicapped, senior citizens, and all the recipients of care, with the purpose of equipping the caregivers with beneficial information, techniques, and necessary skills that will assist them with providing more efficient care to the receiver of care, as well as minimize or reduce the stress that comes along with caregiving. Here at the cafe, we like to start off with an inspirational poem or quote. And today's poem says, "Dearest caregiver, what a miracle you do. What a role your life works play. In difficulty, you have courage and a smiling face each day. For being there when others can't, you're showing heaven's love. Thank you for the caring that comes from God above. Thanks for trust and gentleness, for assurance and compassion rare. The world would be lost without you, dear giver of love and care." So before I introduce my co-host today and our guests, I want to ask you caregivers to take a break from caregiving. Okay? Grab a chair, grab your cappuccino, grab your coffee, your hot chocolate, and join us today at the cafe. So today my co-host is Denise Richardson.
Hello out there, everyone.
And we have Stan White.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Caregivers Cafe.
And we have James West.
Hello, Radio World, and welcome to the Caregivers Cafe.
And we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. I'm so excited. And her name is Amy Brown.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello there, Amy. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And she is the Director of Outreach and Advocacy, I Choose Home, New Jersey. And I'm going to let her tell you about her program.
Sure. You want me to just get started?
Yes, you can get started.
Okay, so I understand we've got listeners from kind of all over the place, so just know that I'm going to be talking specifically about New Jersey's program, but a lot of the same programs that I'm going to be talking about exist all over the United States and in some other countries as well. So So what is I Choose Home? I Choose Home is a federal and state program. The purpose is to look for people who are living in nursing homes who don't want to be there, who don't necessarily need to be there, and to help give them the tools and connect them to the supports and services so that they can move home safely, securely, with services. We don't just want to, find someone and move them out and that's the end of it. We're really looking to coordinate services through Medicaid and make sure that people are well set up, that they have the things that they need in their home, and help transition them out. So that's one of the main goals. But the other main goal, and I think will resonate more maybe with a lot of the listeners, is spreading the message that a nursing home is not necessarily the only option for people.
Right.
Not that it's bad, not that we never need nursing homes. It isn't to disparage the nursing home industry, but just to say that there are supports and services out there that a lot of people don't even know that exist, don't know that they qualify for, and especially for the caregivers, there can be supports and services out there to help you, to help supplement what you're doing, to help the person you're caring for just really have the best, most holistic, a group of services that they can receive. So we just really want to spread that message. A nursing home may not be the only option for people, and we really just, want to try to help as many people as possible connect with those supports and services that do exist in New Jersey and in some other states too.
Okay.
That's wonderful, because I don't think people realize that the same services that Medicaid pays for in nursing homes, they'll pay for those same services within the home.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't know that. I would say that when we're out and about at events, senior expos and health fairs and things like this, when I talk to people about the fact that, you can get the same types of service that you get in a nursing home in your own home if you qualify for Medicaid, people just don't know. Most people don't know. So, kind of breaking some of those myths that if your mom or dad or sister or brother starts declining or has a health issue, you may be able to get Medicaid services to come into the home and get those home health services before it reaches a crisis point, instead of waiting until somebody has fallen down or had some kind of accident or something and has to go to the hospital. So until last year, that Medicaid program used to be called Global Options. Now, some of you may have heard of that program. It has now changed and it is called Managed Long-Term Supports and Services, MLTSS. So that's the program that I want people to be asking about at their Board of Social Service agency, and also for people to know that there's another excellent resource out there. Managed care, exactly. Other people refer to MLTSS that I just was speaking about as Medicaid managed care. It's the same thing. Basically, last year in the summertime, Medicaid, this long-term care Medicaid was privatized in New Jersey, and now insurance companies like Horizon, United, Aetna are managing those programs. So when somebody signs up for this Medicaid program, they're going to choose which of the managed care organizations, which of the insurers that they want to go with.
Wow.
So, we really want to get the word out there that, we want people to be proactive, we want people to plan, we want people, as your parents or as yourself, whoever is aging and starting to think towards the future, that these services could be a possibility, And another thing I will say quickly is that in the past, the income limits for Medicaid, were always absolute. So, for example, before last year, I think that the income limit for Medicaid was about $2,199 a month. If you made $1 more than that, you absolutely could not qualify. There was no way around it. But that has changed. And we want people to know. So starting last year, if you make over that, what used to be the limit, there's still a possibility that you could qualify for those services. So I've talked to a lot of people out in the field who said, I tried to apply for Medicaid for my mom or dad, but I got denied because I was over income. That's no longer necessarily the case anymore. People who have $3,000, $4,000 a month now are still able to qualify for Medicaid. And I won't go into all the details about how that works or what you do, but just keep in mind, those income limits that used to exist for this program are no longer an absolute bar for people. There's a way to work around it depending on what kind of level of need the person has. So just know that MLTSS or managed Medicaid, long-term care Medicaid exists in New Jersey. We want you to tap into it. We want you to apply for it. And you can get up to 40 hours a week of home health aides through that program. You can get
Really?
medication management, connections to Meals on Wheels or whatever meals program exists in your county, transportation, adult medical daycare. It's a really great program, and a lot of people don't know. So, to all our listeners out there, please know that Medicaid program exists, and, we want you to think about it. We want you to access it before things reach a crisis.
Okay, now let me ask one question. Now, my mother has Aetna Medicare because she worked. So is she eligible for Medicaid?
She
also?
probably will be. I mean, I don't know her financial situation. I don't know the ins and outs of her situation,
Yeah.
but most likely, yes. She
Okay,
probably
so-
would be.
So I should take her down to adult social services,
Yeah.
which is a department in welfare, right?
Yeah, some of the counties are different. One of the resources I would really recommend to all the listeners, in every county in New Jersey, there is something called an ADRC, Aging Disability Resource Center.
Okay.
And at that center, the purpose of it is to really be a one-stop shop for everything that the elderly or people with disabilities may need in the community. So these ADRCs, you can Google it. I can, maybe on a break or something, I can look it up on my phone to give maybe the Mercer County number. But know that there's one of these Aging Disability Resource Centers in every county, and that it's an excellent resource. You can get information there about Medicaid, Medicare, VA services, Meals on Wheels, food stamps, basically anything that a senior or somebody with a disability may need to access. You can get information there. And they can give you a Medicaid application and orient you. So I would strongly recommend people reach out to their local ADRC if they want some more information about all the possible services, including Medicaid.
That's a good
Wow.
one. Another question too. Now, since my mother has Aetna Medicare, if she applies for Medicaid and she's approved, will that affect her Aetna Medicare?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I'm not an expert on the dual, they refer to them as dual eligibles, people who get both Medicaid and Medicare. But as far as I know, no. I don't think getting Medicaid would adversely affect your Medicare benefits in any way.
And the reason I asked that question is because I know someone that retired, regular retirement from the state of New Jersey, and they had their regular medical plan, and then they were approved for Social Security disability. And so after being enrolled in that 2 years, they're now eligible for Medicare Part A and B.
Oh, right.
They didn't want Part A and B, but the state of New Jersey said that if you reject that, then we're going to cancel your Aetna.
Right.
Okay,
You have to combine
Like
the
you
two.
need the wraparound
Right.
services,
So
sure.
now it became for that person Aetna Medicare Advantage.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's why I was asking, but I'll find
Sure,
out.
I would really look into it because what you've described to me about your mom's situation, she may very well qualify for Medicaid, and it sounds like, I know for a fact that the services through Medicaid, the long-term care type services through Medicaid are much more robust than the Medicare services. Medicare really, they can have a visiting nurse in a couple hours or something like that, but we're talking about several hours a day that she could be eligible for. And and with this Medicaid program, it's nice too because when they evaluate a person, they basically decide how many hours a week of care they need. And so, they may tell you, okay, your mom, it looks like your mom's going to need 35 hours. And you and your mom, or your mom, whoever's making the decision, really gets to pick from a menu of services. So say, you wanted your mom to go to an adult daycare for 1 day a week. So they would subtract those 8 hours out of the 40, and then you would have, you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's very tailored to the person. You get a say in how you want to receive your services, what time of day you want the caregivers to come, because some people want to sleep in the morning and don't want to be bothered. Other people may want somebody there at 7 a.m. to help wake them up and shower them and things like that. So, it's a good program because it is very, user-friendly, and also the person is the center of the care plan, and that's how it should be.
Do you have any questions, Denise, for Stanley?
Yeah, I was listening saying about the services at the beginning, was saying that you should get involved before they get to the point that are bad. So what would you consider the starting point for ICE service?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, obviously, in order to apply for the services, the person has to need them, right? So you're not going to apply for services for somebody when they're like perfectly functional.
Right.
And there's a criteria that Medicaid uses. Basically, if the person needs, I hope I get this right, if the person needs assistance in 3 of the area activities of daily living, such as dressing oneself, showering, meal preparation, moving around, ambulating. If the person needs, there's 2 others that are escaping my mind, but basically if the person needs some substantial help in 3 of those activities or more, then that's really an appropriate time. But what I was saying about the planning, I think goes even beyond, Medicaid and applying for services. Really starting to have those conversations that are difficult with our loved ones as they're getting older. I'm starting to do that with my parents. It's not the easiest conversation. They're in their 60s. They don't want to talk about being old.
Right.
But
Now's
now's the time. And I think we need to do a better job of talking to our friends, relatives, when they're care plan. Exactly. That we want to do care planning, starting from when our friends' parents are, I don't know, in their 60s, in their 70s, depending on their condition. But, it's better to plan. It's better to know, and not only plan, but to ask somebody, for example, Barbara, if, we asked James, like, James, what does quality of life mean to you? What kind of a life do you want to live as you get older? And everything can flow from that,
And it's time now to even start looking for resources, things like you can be informed. They may change by the time your parents need that assistance, but at least you're informed about what's possibly available in the community for them, for caregivers.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, I won't lie. I work for the state, but I even see in my work, it's difficult for me. I have an advanced degree. I have a state job. It's difficult for me to understand how to access all the services.
I knew nothing about babysitting.
Right.
I just happened upon you at a book fair with that.
Yeah, and a lot of the agencies, unfortunately in New Jersey and
I worked for the state of New Jersey.
yeah, exactly. And it's not a unique problem, but in a lot of states, the services that we have for people who are elderly or who have disabilities are just very dispersed. They're not connected. It's hard to find one place to go to get all the information you need.
That's what's so awesome. You can go call your hotline and find out all the information.
Yeah. I mean, we're happy to help people as much as possible. I mean, we are not, no one in my office is an expert on Medicare or the Veterans Association or the VA administration, but we will find someone that can help you. So let me say that, I'll say the hotline number so people...
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So if you want more information about...
You can repeat it throughout the
Great. If you want more information about keeping your loved one at home in New Jersey, please call the I Choose Home hotline. It is 1-855-466-3005. 855-466-3005. It also spells 855-HOME-005.
All right.
Okay, and then can you explain to the audience, the radio audience too, about the housing situation? Like, if you're transitioning them from a nursing home, that you can transition them back into their own home, but housing is difficult to find if they don't have their own home to transition to. But you also have group homes available in the community.
Yes. So, yes, absolutely. Housing is our biggest challenge in our program because, as we know, New Jersey is not a very affordable place to live. Housing is very expensive. I think we all face that struggle. And for people who have who are in a nursing home. Many of them have given up their home, they've sold it,
Right. Mm-hmm.
or they've given up their apartment, right? Their lease is gone. Maybe they even had an affordable housing unit somewhere or a Section 8 voucher. Now they're in the nursing home for a few months, they don't have that anymore,
Right.
they've given it up. So when we're helping people to move out, people who don't have a house to go back to or family to go back with, it is very challenging to help them because there aren't as many places to put people, you know. So part of our program, we do have a housing specialist. We have a housing program within our program because we really have to, we have to help connect people who want to go back out with housing. So we've got a staff member who's fabulous, Leah Hernandez, who really works with the public housing authorities and all of the developers in New Jersey, private landlords, landlord associations, to try to spread the word like, hey, we've got people that are coming out of nursing homes. We need somewhere to put them. Help us, give us some units, or let us know if if you get any vouchers, or let us know. So we've been pretty successful, but we have to work really, really hard
Right.
for those people because nobody else is going to step up for them.
Wow.
If they're in a nursing home, the only person sometimes that can help them is a social worker who's also attending to 100 other people.
Now, what's your opinion about this? I really did hear this, that senior citizens that are in nursing homes and they don't want to be there, they don't feel, they do not fare well there. Like they either get sick, they die early, they get sick.
Yeah, I think that we all basically agree that it's best for people to age in their home or with loved ones as long as possible, and unfortunately a lot of times,
Community grounds.
yeah, and I think it's just sometimes that time is cut short for so many reasons, because people don't know that there are services that could help them, because caregivers are overwhelmed and they don't have connections or they don't have support. So many reasons why people end up in nursing homes. Or maybe the person had a fall or a scare and they went into the hospital, and then the hospital social worker starts in on the family, like, oh, it's time for mom to, there's so many reasons why people end up in nursing homes, and they're not, I don't think many of the reasons are necessarily bad or that there's somebody there, pushing an agenda necessarily. It's just the circumstances come together and that happens.
I have
And we
a
want to
question.
avoid that, sure.
Amy, first I want to say hi, Denise. Hi, Stanley. How you guys doing? But thank you, Amy, for coming. Your information for everybody. I have a question about applying for that program. Is it streamlined? How long is the process? Is it back and forth, or?
That's a good question. Yeah,
for the caregiver and for the
Sure.
recipient.
I think that it's kind of mixed experience, I think some people find going through the Medicaid process not so onerous. I think other people find it really difficult. I would say that it helps a lot if the caregiver or the person who's helping the application along has
Right.
access to the person's banking and
Information.
financial information. That can be the biggest barrier because,
Gotcha.
Medicaid, as the law is right now, Medicaid basically looks back 5 years to make sure that the person applying has not given money away in order to apply for Medicaid. Do you see what I'm saying? So at least now this may change, and for some people they've reduced this period to 3 years, but unfortunately not for this program. So yeah, getting the financial information together I know can be difficult for people. If you have a power of attorney document,
There you go.
I was going to make that suggestion. That's why caregivers, you have got to get power of attorney.
yes.
Yes.
I highly recommend that. I'm also an attorney by schooling, and
Wow.
and I know how important that is. Because really, once somebody starts losing their mental capacity, you can end up in a really, really tricky situation where nobody is able to make the decision for that person. So, when I was saying planning, that's really another piece that I'm talking about is, if your loved one is starting to decline and having those cognitive issues, it's a tough conversation, but you want to have it because you don't want to end up, for example, James, like your question, say the person suddenly needs Medicaid. Well,
Right.
you can't just go and apply for Medicaid for your loved one, right? The loved one needs to be able to sign off,
Right.
or their legal representative has to sign off. So if there's no power of attorney and the person is really so far gone that they can't do anything, you can end up in a very bad situation.
Exactly, and another viewpoint from that too, my mother initially had like a real bad anxiety, and she kept wanting to go to the crisis center. Like I said, Mom, you cannot go. I need power of attorney. I said, because if you go, I have no control over you. Once the institutionalizes you, they can do whatever they want to do with you, and I'm not going to have it.
Yeah,
So we talked about that, and I said, now if you still want to go, you can go.
sure.
So people don't realize that the state takes over.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, really, if it reaches a certain point, then, a guardianship could, be started, and, usually the family member gets first dibs on being the guardian, but in some cases that doesn't happen. I mean, it's complicated, but yeah, if you really want to be that decision maker and you want to stand in for your parent and really, stand up and do that, then it's important, I think, to get those documents in place earlier rather than later. You don't want to wait until your loved one is so confused that they don't know what's going on, because then you can't have these conversations with them.
And not only that, if they're not in their right mind, you can't even get a power of attorney.
No.
Because the attorney questioned my mother over and over again, 3 or 4 different ways.
Absolutely.
What days? Who's the president? Are you in your right mind? You're signing this.
Sure, because imagine you're signing over your legal power to someone else. They have to know that you were in your right mind to be able to do that. So, it gets very questions of, elderly folks with dementia, it starts getting really complicated. So again, I just think trying to get these things in place, figuring out what services, getting a power of attorney document like you're saying, Barbara, all these
And
things.
healthcare director too.
Absolutely.
I'm going to control over my mother. You're not going to tell me you're going to unplug the plug. You're not going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm making a decision.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and it's very important for people, you want to make sure that your loved one's wishes are being honored. You want to make sure that your loved one's voice is being heard. And the only way that's going to happen is if you've had that conversation with the person, you know what they want, and they give you the power to speak for them.
Right.
So I think that's hugely important.
Denise?
Now, one thing about your situation, I'm sorry, Miss, go ahead. One thing about your situation too, I think I remember you saying that the doctor had already told your mother that she needed to be on dialysis. You guys never knew it, right? But if you had power of attorney, the doctors would have reached out. The doctors would have called you.
Right, and that's the thing about it. By the time we got to that point of finding that out,
Yes.
she wasn't in the frame of mind because we were supporting her thought process.
So who knows, the life might have been extended, who knows?
Sure. Or, I think it's important to, what Denise said is absolutely just, you just summarized the entire issue. It's very powerful what you just said, because, really, the family wants to be left with the sense that you did what your loved one wanted. That you did what they wanted, not even that you did all that you could do, because sometimes all that you could do is not what the person would have wanted. So I think it's, having those conversations to know exactly, what the person would want and then acting on those wishes. It's it's not just important for the person who's passing, it's important for the family that's left behind to have that peace of mind and feel like I did what my mom wanted, I did what my dad wanted, I honored their wishes. And, I think that, Denise, in your situation, it sounds like you guys did, absolutely everything that that you knew to do, and you did good. But I know that it's also difficult for people to be left in that place because you're not sure, and that's hard. So I think that having the conversations, it took me like 3 or 4 times to have this conversation with my dad. Let me tell you, he didn't want to talk about it, but I've, my sister and I have kind of worked on, and he's still young. He's in his 60s. He's vibrant. Nothing's wrong with him right now, but this is the time to have the conversation.
That's right.
So I really do think that that's hugely important, even though it's difficult to do it. Hey.
Stanley?
I would have a hard time talking about that.
That's why we got you on the phone, Stan.
Oh, really? Wow.
But I guess one of the other things, my mom actually, it is difficult for me. And all the questions I have not only her, but what are some of the other questions that we can ask? And I guess we're not going to get into it. There are a lot of things that you get confused about, you're not sure what to ask. So I talk to the parents about
That's right. I would too.
Yeah.
one of the other problems that I have to realize is people when I'm talking to them, they start thinking because of the small, which really is hard to say, but it does start thinking about it. My sister had the hardest time with my mom. And one of the things that I think that's the case with my wife, mom, I have to get the money, I mean, all the things out. What little money, what little money they have around the house. Mom, you take money out of your cash, but you don't know.
Sure.
But these important things, this is very, very important.
Right.
And I would definitely want to start acting on it.
Oh, absolutely. And there are some, I wish I would have written them down and brought them with me, but I know there are some really great toolkits online that you can use to start having these kind of healthcare conversations. I know there's one that's called the Conversation Project. I don't know if it's the conversationproject.org. You can Google it. The Conversation Project, it will come up. And they have a toolkit there that can guide you through a conversation with your loved one so that you're not just like, okay, Mom, we need to talk about the end right now. That's not going to go over well. You want to, obviously you want to frame it in a way that people can hear and that they can respond to and not want to run away from.
But you know what? People don't want to talk about it at 60, but you know what? I think in my 50s, I'm going to get me a power of attorney. Because you know what? Anything can happen to the person
Yes.
at
At
61,
any time.
and nothing's in place.
Yeah.
They can have a car accident, accidentally shot. I mean, anything can happen.
I have an advanced
So I'm
directive and
encouraged
I'm
to
in my
get
30s.
mine.
I'm telling everyone.
My
Yeah.
kids.
I think it's important to do. There's another really good, it's not legally binding in New Jersey, unfortunately, but there's a really awesome advanced care planning document called the 5 Wishes. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
No.
But basically, it's really beautiful because it doesn't, a lot of the advanced directives that you see, it just goes through scenarios like if you're in a coma or you're unresponsive, or if this, then that. And the 5 Wishes also just asks a lot of more like personal and holistic questions. Like, for example, what kind of comfort measures would you like at the end of your life? Like, do you like music? What kind of music do you like? It asks these really nice personal questions so that it's a more holistic view of the person and what they would want. It's not just like a checklist, because a lot of the advanced directives are like checklist, you know.
So when they're in hospice, you can have their kind of music or whatever they
Yeah.
requested.
Sure, or
About
yeah, I mean, I think it also, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it also just asks, you know, questions about, you know, do you want to have a lot of do you want to have a lot of people around? Do you want to have more solitude? Do you prefer this? Do you prefer that? It's like real specific, you know, it's not just, you know, about the medical treatment. So we really like that document in our office, and we distribute it.
Five wishes?
The 5 wishes. Yeah, the 5 wishes. And it's really nice. It's like, it's light blue, it's a big pamphlet, it's easy to fill out, and it even has an intro that talks you through like how to start having that conversation. So I highly recommend, there's also an advanced directive, just a standard advanced directive on the New Jersey State websites that you can download and fill out. But
Now, do you have a walk-in office or just a phone hotline?
we don't have a walk-in office, but we are happy to talk to you on the phone, and then of course we're happy to meet with people, you know, one-on-one if it's necessary. I mean, like I said in the beginning, of course, like the bulk of our work is really trying to identify people in nursing homes and move them out. But we are always happy to talk to people about all of these things, all of these services that are available.
Because in doing so, you could possibly prevent them from even going into nursing homes.
Yes.
Because people don't know that the services that the nursing home provide can be provided also in their home.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that other part, it's funny because when we started the program, that education part really was secondary, and now it's become like the forefront, because we've realized we're meeting our numbers of, you know, finding people in nursing homes and moving them out. That's going. It's just in motion. But the education part, educating the general public, now that's become almost more my passion, because you just see the need. You know, you talk to people and they don't know about the services. So if they don't know about the services, the person's probably going to end up in a nursing home. You know what I mean? So
And that's one of the things that I said when I was interviewing TBN, when she asked what are some of the tips that can help a caregiver out. One of the main things was, you know, you have to know your services in the community that you can tap into.
absolutely. I mean, that's how you're going to help yourself and help your loved ones stay as long as possible in their home.
I'm so glad I found your service.
Oh, well, I'm glad you did too. It's really, really nice.
I'm certainly glad. Go ahead, Denise.
My question is this, back to the housing part, I was just curious because I remember when we were in the process trying to figure out nursing home situations, all the things for my mom. And one of the things was has to do with the finances and what has to happen. So the condo, we have to go through that. So there's a lot of things that to handle financially to get with nursing home. So now we're talking about when they're in the nursing home and now they're coming out. Does the finance follow them out the same way that they went in? How does that happen?
Well, I mean, no, in the sense that, you know, if they've you know, sold their home or sold a piece of property, and that money, you know, went to their stay in the nursing home, they don't get the money back when they come out. I mean, what they do get, of course, you know, now that they're Medicaid eligible, they'll get those services and supports in the community that they need. So, you know, whereas when they were in the community before, they were probably not accessing Medicaid services. Now when they come out, you know, they would have those services. I mean, I guess one thing I should say to clarify too is that, of course, this program will not work for everyone, because as you can imagine, if really the maximum hours that you can get per week is 40 hours of home health aides, if we're talking about someone who is bedbound and needs 24/7 care, if there is not enough care, if there isn't a family member or friend in the community to make up that difference, then, you know, the person is not going to go anywhere because it's not going to be safe. So, you know, unfortunately, we still got that barrier of, you know, Medicaid right now will only cover up to about, it works out to about 40 hours a week of services. So until we kind of break that barrier, it's still going to exclude, you know, the kind of most frail people if they don't have family and friends to help them out. So, you know, that's something that, you know, I think we're all hopeful will change through Medicaid managed care, and that they'll offer more and more hours. But for now, you know, that's the situation. So the short answer is no, the person doesn't get, you know, their money back or their property back when they come out of the nursing home.
Right.
But but they do keep their income. They do keep their income. So, when people are in a nursing home, if they usually get a pension, or if they get SSI or SSDI, they're paying that over to the nursing home, right?
Correct.
So when they come out of the nursing home, they get that income back. The income goes back to them, and they use it to pay rent or food or, whatever that they need in the community. So, that's another benefit to keeping people out of the community. They keep their income. They're not turning it over to the nursing home.
Right.
Sure. Yes, I think in some communities it does, and I know that the managed care organizations like Horizon and Aetna and all those, I think they're starting to incorporate that more, the concept of wellness into the care that they're providing, because obviously it behooves them to do so because, they want to have healthier members as well. I can say in the nursing home, the nursing homes, quite frankly, are really hit or miss, I think, in terms of food. Some have fabulous food. Some have better food than you and I eat daily.
Right.
Others, the food is not very good. So, I think when people go back out into the community, most, if not all of them, are automatically connected with Meals on Wheels. And the home health aide that comes into the house can also help prepare meals for the person and assist them in feeding if they need that. But, I guess ultimately when somebody goes back out in the community, nobody can control, exactly what they eat or what they want to eat. But I think some of the managed care organizations are starting to really promote that with their seniors and really push that, because we all know that makes a huge difference for health outcomes for people to eat better.
And I think a lot of community centers too.
Yes.
And they have their lunches of healthy, I think.
Absolutely. So the community centers, if people elect to go to adult daycare, social daycare, or medical daycare, there's meals provided there.
Right.
Generally, they're healthy. They have to be. They're regulated, so they have to be. But yeah, I mean that's a great question. I think for some people transitioning back out in the community, obviously it's a big difference, because in a nursing home everything has been taken care of for you, and when you go back out, people have to they adjust, because they go back out and they're going to need to take care of things in their home and in their space that they're not used to doing. So it is an adjustment for some people. I think we find generally most people are much happier out of a nursing home, but there is a bit of an adjustment period at first, because people are used to having that built-in socialization and that built-in busyness going on around them, and it's a real change if you go into your own home or apartment that's quiet. And
I have another question too. I noticed, reading your profile here, that you said that your agency have group homes. So my mother owned a boarding home for years. So say for instance, if I wanted to start a group home for senior care, how would I go about doing that?
that's a great question. I don't know that I have the answer, but I can try to find the answer for you when I go back to my office. But the group homes that are on the website, those are developed by the Division of Developmental Disabilities for people with DD. So those group homes were not for elderly folks. They're specifically for people with developmental disabilities. We do have in our program some people with developmental disabilities that ended up in nursing homes and came back out and went into those homes. But for the most part, those homes are not for elderly people. But there are more and more, innovative programs going on all around the United States about how do we house our elderly. How can we group elderly people together in a more communal environment? So I know, for example, in the state of New Jersey now, there's a program where you can take, a private citizen can take an elderly person into their home, almost like a foster care.
Okay.
And, you know, the caregiver receives a stipend from the state, and they have to go through, you know.
Okay, Denise.
Yeah.
You done Georgia.
So in New Jersey, that exists now. And so I think the state is really looking for more creative ways. Shared housing, you know, because not everybody wants to be alone, and not everybody wants to be around 50 people.
Right.
There could be some middle ground.
Right.
So as far as, you know, how to develop a group home that elderly people can move into, I'm not sure, but I can get some information for you and get it to you.
So if the landlord has rental property, how would that fit in?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, our
Okay,
yeah.
landlords out there in Radio Land.
Yeah, if anybody out there has, you know, units that are available, especially if they're geared towards low-income people, or, you know, if you're looking for a tenant who would have a Section 8 voucher, a lot of our people that go out have a Section 8 type voucher that we have connected them with. We were looking for landlords who are, you know, who have that heart to, you know, take in somebody who has some challenges. And yeah, you know, we're working with a lot of landlords and realtors and developers to really try to spread that message that, hey, you know, we've got good tenants for you. You know, we want to move these people out. We need places for them to go. But I know that, yeah, I mean, of course, like anyone in New Jersey who has private rental property can rent to our people that are going out of nursing homes. Absolutely. Yeah. So we welcome that. If anybody's listening who has space, we have someone to fill it.
Okay, I have a question.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Denise.
Okay, going back to the income, you were stating that has changed as far as New Jersey. Has that changed pretty much countrywide, or is that just based in New Jersey where the amount of days and months is not necessarily going to stop?
Yeah, it's several other states have gone the same route as New Jersey. And just also keep in mind that the income limits are different from state to state. They're not all the same. For this program, because this Medicaid program that I've been talking about is a state program, so the states have different income limits. But basically what they've done is to say that you can now, there's kind of a workaround. So you can set up a trust. You can set up a trust through your own bank or through the relative's bank. And basically, you know, you deposit the income into this trust and then pay out of it. It sounds very cumbersome, but it's not really that complicated, and a lot of people are using it. So it's called a Miller Trust. And many of the states now are allowing this Miller Trust mechanism to be used so that they can get around that limit. And we had someone from Medicaid come to a presentation for our office. It must have been the beginning of this year. I think it was February. And this had gone into effect in December of last year. And she said that they already had hundreds and hundreds of people who were using this workaround because there were so many people who were just over that limit that were being denied. And, you know, just imagine if you have $2,500 a month being able to qualify for this program, you know, the value of 40 hours a week of home health care is not little, you know, it's substantial. So it's in a lot of people's benefit to use the trust and to do it that way. And there's a lot of information on the Department of Human Services website, DHS. So if you just Google NJDHS, Miller Trust, all of the documents, the how-to, the Q&A, all of that stuff will come up so you can access it. And I know several other states use it as well. I'm pretty sure Florida, I think New York, and I'm not sure, but I know that's a way that states are being creative about that because so many people were being denied based on income.
Mm-hmm. So, Amy, I have a question. To sum it up, I Choose Home will guide the caregiver and the recipient to all the resources they may need.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to guide anyone who's looking for how to connect to state and local resources, we'll do everything that we can to try to connect them. And we can't do the application for you.
Yeah.
We can't come to the house, but we can really, try to point you in the direction of all the
Is that
resources.
a group or one or two people that you speak to when you need guidance?
Me personally? Oh, it's so many
Many.
people. Yeah, depending on what the question is that comes in, I may be reaching out to somebody at Division of Developmental Disabilities or someone at, Health or someone in the Division of Senior Services or the county or
So you're coordinator, sort of like.
a little bit, yeah. I'll contact anyone I need to contact to try to get the information for someone. It's kind of, the bottom line. But yeah, so if anybody, has any questions, concerns, please call our hotline, 1-855-466-3005, 855-466-3005. And also please know that, I sit in the Ombudsman's office, which advocates for people in nursing homes and assisted living. So if you know anyone in a nursing home or assisted living facility who's having any type of issue, it could be financial, it could be they don't like the food, it could be that someone is abusing them, it could be that anything and everything. If a person is having a problem in a nursing home or assisted living, you can call that same hotline and I will route you to our intake line for the Ombudsman's office.
And additional to that, what if a family member is physically abusing a senior citizen?
Yes, that's a difficult question. Unfortunately, if it's outside of a nursing home or assisted living facility, our agency can't deal with that.
Those
because
services will.
APS, yeah, it would need to be Adult Protective Services.
Okay, it's time for us to almost round it up. You have any more questions?
Oh, thank you, Amy.
Thank you guys so
We've
much.
got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Great, sir. I really appreciate everything you're doing. The time goes so quick when we're getting into the work.
Yes,
I know.
Time flew by.
I can't believe it. I felt like we were talking for 30
More
minutes.
time, no, I'm kidding.
We're going to have you back on the program.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Well, and also, you guys just know that, there are other representatives from our office who do very different things from what I do, but that work with seniors. So, there could be some possibilities there too. But, yeah, we're happy to come back on as many times as you guys will have us.
Well, I'm going to have it on my Comcast TV show, so I'll let you know when that is.
Great.
Any other questions, anybody?
No, thanks.
Thank you again. Thank you again. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you guys so much.
Hello, Amy?
Hello.
Yeah. Another question. You say you have other people that specialize in different things. How do we find out not who they are, but what are some of the things that they specialize in?
Oh, sure. We have representatives from our office who speak regularly about, recognizing the signs of abuse in elderly folks. We can do presentations about residents' rights in nursing homes and assisted living facilities, because a lot of people don't know there are specific federal rights that people have when they go into those facilities that a lot of people are just not even aware of. Very basic things like, that you have the right to participate in your care planning, or, that you have the right to privacy, that the facility is supposed to be your home, these kinds of things. Those are the two that are most coming to mind. We also have an awesome volunteer program in our office, so if anybody's listening, wants to be the eyes and ears of our office in a New Jersey nursing home, we would love to speak with you. We have over 200 volunteers in New Jersey nursing homes who are there 4 hours a week, basically looking for problems and helping to resolve problems with the residents that live there. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell, I'm sorry, go ahead, Denise. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, could you give us the telephone number again and the website also?
Absolutely. Sure. So the number is 1-855-466-3005. I'll say it one more time. 855-466-3005. And that is the hotline to I Choose Home New Jersey, where we're looking to move people out of nursing homes back into the community and also spread the word that a nursing home is not the only option. And our website is www.ichoosehome.nj.gov. So we
Great.
would welcome you to visit it. There's a lot of great resources. There's also some really awesome YouTube videos that we've made of our
All right.
participants. So people that we've moved out of nursing homes who are in the community, talking about their lives, how their lives are different, how they're happier. And there's some actually really beautiful stories on there. One of the, like you were asking about those group homes, we transitioned 3 people together. 2 of the folks fell in love and got married in the nursing home.
Oh my
And then these are younger folks. These are young. So these are people with developmental disabilities, and
Wow.
the younger folks are in their 30s. Anthony is a published author. He is just absolutely hilarious, very eloquent. And his wife Carla, who is such a sweetheart. So they spent a total of something like 15 years in nursing homes in their adult lives. And they fell in love in the nursing home, and they wanted to leave because they didn't have privacy. They weren't sleeping in the same bed. They were already married. I mean, they wanted to live as a married couple. And it gets even better because in the nursing home, they made friends with Richard, who was in his, I would say Richard's in his 60s. He is a longtime disability rights advocate. He became like a father to them. They say that he is their father. So the 3 of them moved out together. And there's a beautiful video on our website, ichoosehome.nj.gov. If you go on the success stories link, there's a video of Anthony and Carla and Richard. There's another video of a woman named Mary who, when we videoed her, I think was 91, and she just did not want to be in the nursing home. She went home. This woman is like an internet junkie. She is more technologically advanced than me. She's on Facebook. She has a boyfriend that she met online. She ordered a little dog. She ordered a dog to be shipped to her from another state and made her son go pick it up from Newark Airport. She's just this feisty, fiery
She's
woman.
91?
Yeah. And anyway, so it's also just to illustrate that you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised also who's in nursing homes. You'd be very surprised. Like, you think you're going to walk into a nursing home and only see very sick senior citizens, and what we're finding, shockingly, is that there are more and more young people with disabilities getting stuck in nursing homes for all kinds of reasons. They lose their housing, they had an accident, they ended up in the hospital, and we've also transitioned a bunch of younger people out of nursing homes as well. That, to me, I think has been one of the most shocking aspects of the project. I thought we were just going to be dealing with elderly people, and turns out we've probably done half and half, like half elderly people and half people who are, when I say young, I mean younger than 50. Some people in their 20s, 30s, 40s.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, one young man we just helped transition earlier this year from a nursing home in Newark. He was 33. He came up from another state for a family function and ended up in a car accident and ended up in a nursing home for 3 years because he didn't have any place to go. And so that whole other aspect is, I mean, it's not so related necessarily to what you guys are dealing with, but just a flag for you that you'd really be surprised. Nursing homes, that